Welcome back to the Gregory Nesmith Show. Shout out to all the underdogs, to my peoples, and to the occasional Trump supporter that accidentally finds this show. Appreciate all of you guys out there and gals. And, you know, what we do here every week now is we get personal about the news and the culture. And today's topic, today's title, today's theme is, you sure about that? You positive? For real? You know, it sounds like a simple question, but sometimes I do wonder, like, you know, are you really sure about that? Well, one thing I am sure about is I love the Cookout. And last week, I found an article that was, to me, brilliant, that it was called 5 Rules for Black Cookouts in Life. And what I realized is that, you know, each of us has certain upbringings, and based on our neighborhood or part of the country or part of the world we grew up in, our ethnicity, our race, and there's certain things that, you know, we learn when we coming up that while they seem uniquely our experience, and they are unique, there's also a bit of, how can I say it, a bit of relatability that goes beyond just your race or your part of the city or part of the country or ethnicity or religion. Like, some things are also uniquely your experience, and then also they transcend. So I think the Black barbecue is one of them. And they talked about 5 things you can learn from the Cookout that you can learn in life. And I'll give you a quick refresher. But then during the week, I came up with 3 that I would like to add to the list and share them with you, and then find out, you know, you sure about that? Am I reaching, or these make sense? So let me tell you the ones from Michael Harriot, his 5, and then I'll give you my new 3. One of them was, he says, bring something to the table. And this is literally etiquette, manners, you know, show up with something. Bring a bag of chips, bring some soda, bring napkins, bring something to the table. And then because I'm a consultant and a coach, you know, I get extra on things. And so then I start taking it to, like, how can it really apply to even life overall? And to me, I think that one is about, you know, be a giver instead of being a taker. So his first rule was bring something to the table. His second rule was respect the culture. And to me, these are things like, he points out in the article, let the elders eat first. Make sure the kids have a plate. Just know the rules, respect the ancestors, the elders. Just, you should know better. And for me, this one in life is about know the unwritten rules of the place where you're headed. So if you're starting a new job, or let's say you're meeting your significant other's side of the family, get a sense for, like, what are some of the ways, the culture, the unwritten rules. He also has a third rule. He says, know thyself. And this one is pretty self-explanatory. Don't say you're going to hold down the grill and you can't really grill. We're going to talk about you. That's just going to be bad. So, you know, don't overpromise. And his fourth one was choose your partners wisely. Say it again. Say it again. Choose your partners wisely. Choose your partners wisely. I don't even need to elaborate on that one. And his fifth rule of the Cookout that also is good for life, he says, dance like nobody's watching except the cousins. And that's always a reminder that, you know, be free, have fun, but know that there's always somebody watching. So still be mindful, even when you're amongst family, to be age appropriate for who's around. So now I'm going to come up with my 3. And I want you to share your rules for your parties or your cookouts that you also think are good life lessons. And you can share them at area code 212-650-6903. That's 212-650-6903, or online at facebook.com/Gregory Nesmith. All right. My 3 rules that I learned coming up in reference to the cookout that I believe are also helpful for life. For the underdogs out there, for my peoples, and even the occasional Trump supporter who finds the show by accident. Let's get personal about the news and the culture. All right. 3 things I learned from the cookout coming up, growing up, that I think apply to life. Know when to leave. Know when to leave. You are at somebody's house in their backyard or at the cookout. The grill is off. Folks have thrown the charcoals out. They putting the kids to bed. You don't got to go home, but you got to get the heck out. I mean, know when to leave. Because we're going to talk about you. You got to know when it's time to go home. Now, that's a rule for the cookout. Know when to leave. But it's also a rule that's good in life to know when to leave. Like, if you're starting to get into a heated argument and you feel yourself about to lose your temper, say something below the belt, press the eject button, call timeout and say, hey, I need a minute. I need to take a breather. As the saying goes, don't go to war if you don't have to. Know when to leave the argument and take a break. It's okay. You can come back for more later. Relationships. You don't have to cheat on your significant other. If you don't want to be in the relationship, you don't have to act out. Just call time out. Leave. Say it's not working out. Know when to leave. Don't overstay your welcome. Don't be at the barbecue when the grill's being cleaned, the kids are being put to bed, and you still there chilling. Know when to leave. So that's my first of 3 rules that I learned from the cookout that I think can apply to life. Know when to leave is one. Know when to leave the barbecue and know when to leave situations in your life. Are you sure about that? You think that's a good one or not? That's the theme of the show is, are you sure about that? You co-sign on that one? Or you're like, maybe, kind of, sort of. Let me know. Rule number 2 that I learned growing up at the cookout that I think and believe can apply to life. Rule number 2, eat before you get there. What? Yeah, I just said that. Eat before you get there. A rule I learned growing up about cookouts that apply to life now is eat before you get there. I remember growing up, and whether it was a cookout or let's say I was going to go to a party or something like that, and I remember my mom making sure that I ate something before I went, and this threw me off as a little kid because I'm like thinking to myself, Mom, we're going to a cook out, like they cooking, it's gonna be food, but why are we worrying about am I eating before we're going to cookout? Because we're going to the cookout, there's going to be food, and we're going to party. Like, I'm going to eat there. And my mom's like, you don't know if the food's going to be ready or not when you get there. You don't know how good it's going to be. You don't want to be over there overeating. And so while it took me a little while to really take this one in, I learned to like really respect my mom's like, yo, you got to eat before you go to the cookout. And I think that in life, how this comes to be is we get to be prepared before we go someplace, before we go to an event, before we go to an interview. We get to be prepared. And sometimes it's because of the best intentions, or sometimes it's because you did your scouting report. I mean, sometimes we ate before we went to the cookout because we knew they couldn't cook. You know, some people you're like, they're not ready to get cooked. I'm gonna make sure I'm almost full and I'm gonna just snack on some chips while I'm there. But you did your scouting report. So always be prepared. Eat before you go to the cookout. It's like in life where you get to be prepared before you go someplace. Do your scout report. Do your homework. Know whether or not the place where you're going, they can cook good food or not. Because you don't want to show up hungry and then be starving and then have to eat the food you don't like. Like, it's just be prepared. Eat before you go to the cookout. Third rule that I learned growing up from the cookout that I think helps me, could help you in life. The first one was know when to leave. Second one was eat before you get there. Yes, eat before you get there. It sounds weird, but yeah, eat before you get there. Who can relate? Let me know if I'm crazy or was I the only one who their parents or mom made them eat before they went to the cookout. And lastly, the third thing I've learned when I was growing up, in reference to a cookout that I now apply to life, is don't show up if you're not invited. And then additional build on that, don't be the person who shows up and you bring that person. And you know what I mean by that person. That person that you know nobody likes or is still in a big dispute or argument with one of the people hosting the barbecue. So don't show up uninvited, or don't bring that person who's uninvited and you be the one responsible for it. Don't show up uninvited. And this definitely applies in real life. So much so, it applies to also Omarosa. I told you I would bring back full circle, should the delegation trade Omarosa or not, into today's show. Are you sure about that? And then how that had something to do with the barbecue, the cookout. Because my third rule, and I have three for what I learned about the cookout that can help all of us in life. One being know when to leave. The second being eat before you get there. Yes, eat before you get there. And the third being don't show up uninvited. And this happens in real life because if you show up uninvited, you can get kicked off the island. It's been reported that according to sources inside the Trump administration, Omarosa, once a contendant on Donald Trump's apprentice, Omarosa had a habit of showing up unannounced at important meetings, sitting down and making herself comfortable as assistant to the president and director of communications for the Office of Public Liaison. Huh? Hold on. Let me read that again because I don't even know what that means. Like what type of role this? So reported. Let me start over. Reported in the New York Times, according to sources inside the Trump administration, Omarosa had a habit of showing up unannounced at important meetings, sitting down and making herself comfortable. As assistant to the president and director of communications for the Office of Public Liaison. What is the Office of Public Liaison? Omarosa is technically one of 45's numerous aides, but has no business at many of the high-level meetings that she was showing up in as Office of the Public Liaison Director of Communications. I don't even know what you do when you're the Director of Communications of the Office of Public Liaison. But anyway, I'll keep going. She is now on the Chief of Staff's list. So John Kelly, who's the new Chief of Staff for the Trump administration, Omarosa is now on his list of what's called the no-fly list for aides who he deems to be unfit to attend serious meetings, the most prominent of whom is Omarosa, the former apprentice star with an ill-defined job and a penchant for dropping into meetings where she was not invited, is now on the no-fly list. And you know why? Because she doesn't listen to the show. And she didn't take the lessons from the cookout that apply to life. And one of them is, and it's the third one of today's list, don't show up uninvited. Because eventually you'll get put on the no-fly list for the cookouts, and in this case, for lots of meetings at the White House. We're going to take a quick break. More of the Gregory Nesmith Show. Let's get personal about the news and the culture. So far today, we've talked about, are we sure about Jemele Hill being right about her comments for Donald Trump? Are we sure she should get fired? Are we sure she should keep her job? We sure about that? We talked about it. Love to hear your thoughts at area code 212-650-6903. That's 212-650-6903. Or post your comments on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Gregory Nesmith. We talked about, are you sure you should be watching NFL football today? Phil pointed out, shout out to Phil and the travel fan. Phil says you can go to ESPN2 and watch Canadian football. And then on Saturdays, you can watch college football. And on Sundays, you can also watch and listen to the awesome lineup of shows here on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem, which includes, and isn't it ironic, or actually just serendipity, that football games normally kick off at 1. And guess when the Gregory Nesmith Show kicks off? We kick off at 1 p.m. too every Sunday. We also talked about, are you sure that you can learn stuff from the cookout that applies to life? And the answer is yes. And there's 3 of them that I added to an article that was shared last week. The article had 5. I'm going to add another 3. And those 3 were, or are, know when to leave. Come on, man. They're putting the kids to bed. The grill's getting clean. Like, it's time to go. They're putting the food away. There's no more to-go plates left. It's time to go. Don't overstay your welcome in life or at the cookout. Then the second one was eat before you get there. It sounds strange, but yes, eat before you get there. Always be prepared. Do your scout report because you just never know when you get there what it might be like. And then lastly, my rule from the cookout that also applies to life is don't show up uninvited. Don't be like Omarosa. Please don't. More of the Gregory Nesmith Show after this break. Welcome back to the Gregory Nesmith Show. Let's get personal about the news and the culture, and we do it every week on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. And we also have a podcast because not everybody is available from 1 to 3 p.m. on Sundays. We understand that. And as a result, we have a podcast available every Monday and Wednesday, and it has highlights and clips and content from a lot of stuff we do here on Sundays. And you can find the show on Podomatic, on iTunes, on Google Play. And for those who like to watch, we also release content on YouTube, on the Gregory Nesmith Show YouTube channel too. So lots of ways, but I always say, if you can, join us on Sundays from 1 to 3 p.m. It's the best place to start. But if not, you can interact with the Gregory Nesmith Show throughout the week on social media and then also on the podcast and on YouTube. With that, today's episode is, are we sure about that? And it's been an interesting day of topics, and we have gotten personal about the news and about the culture, and I appreciate you going along on the journey with me, either online or on the airwaves or phone calls. Always appreciate it. With that, there was a big fight last night, and I actually have been on the go all morning and doing final prep for today's show, and I actually don't know for sure who won the fight last night, but if you do, post it in the comments on Facebook Live, facebook.com/Gregory Nesmith, or just call in at 212-650-6903. That's 212-650-6903. Let me know who won the fight. I actually don't know yet who won the fight, but by a couple of Facebook comments I saw on my timeline, it seems like it was a dispute, to say the least, as to the final outcome. So maybe it was a draw. Maybe someone looked like they won, but they didn't. Let me know. But anyway, I wanted to share with you my comments on the last major fight that folks watched, which was Floyd Money Mayweather fighting Conor McGregor, and Floyd Mayweather winning the fight. And that happened on a Saturday night a couple weeks ago. And then Sundays, I come in to do the show, and I shared with you guys some of my initial thoughts. And so I wanted to play some highlights of that for you today, since a lot of people are talking about the fight. And so I wanted to share with you some comments that I had about the last major fight. And then after that plays, we'll come back and we'll finish up the show. It's a few minutes of a clip, and then we'll come back for the big close to today's show. Are you sure about that? Here's me talking about the Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fight and my mixed feelings. I think I realized something last night, and I'm still working through this, but I think I became an NFL owner last night in reference to the fight. And what I mean by that is, I think that I have fallen potentially into the trap that, just like the NFL owners want their football players to just be football players and just go out and play this brutally violent, high contact sport called football, and who cares if they have assaulted people or have substance abuse issues that likely need care and assistance. It's all good. I just want them to go out there and play football. That stuff doesn't really matter. That's how the NFL owners see it. And then last night, I realized that I might be somewhat guilty of that too when it comes to boxing. Because I do know that Floyd Mayweather has not just been accused of assaulting and beating women. He's pled guilty to it, been convicted of it. And not just once, but several times. And yet, I found myself being just like the NFL owners, which is like, that stuff happened, but
just go out there and fight. And I'll go out there and watch. And I woke up this morning feeling a little introspective and just wondering, where does that even come from? And then also, is it even acceptable for me to continue to feel or act that way? Because I don't think that I want to be someone who, because of someone's profession, be like, oh, it's all right. It's not a big deal. I just want to go out there and see him fight. Or like the NFL owners, sexual assault, drug abuse, all that stuff. It doesn't matter. It's no big deal. I just want to see him go out there and play. And yet when someone goes out there and does something that is important, does something that is right and just, the NFL owners get all up in arms. I'm talking about Colin Kaepernick. Because he wasn't just doing the things that barbaric, potentially misogynist folks do or men do. He was out there doing something different, something better. So I just want to put out there, why is it we didn't really talk much about Floyd being a convicted wife beater and abuser and assaulting women? It's almost like it didn't even happen. I saw a Facebook comment earlier today where someone mentioned it, and then one of their friends replied going, oh, I even forgot about that, because we don't even talk about it. Or at least not that much. And so going forward, I'm going to be much more mindful of, am I holding human beings, and especially men, to the highest possible standard regardless of what sport they play? Because just because they play a violent sport doesn't mean they get to be violent towards other people, and especially towards women. And that was one of my personal thoughts related to one of the unavoidable culture stories of the week in terms of Conor McGregor going up against Floyd Mayweather. Now, I will say, I don't expect folks to be perfect. I mean, I'm not perfect, I know that's for sure. But I do think there's something about a culture where there weren't any protests last night. Nobody questioned the sponsors for supporting Floyd Mayweather. We talk about we want to hear the whole story. I just think it'd be right for us to make sure we tell the whole story as the Money Mayweather story unfolds. And with that said, I believe in folks getting second chances. I believe in folks being convicted, serving their time, and then being able to move forward. But I do think it's interesting that last night I watched, celebrated, enjoyed this fight without also at least being mindful of the person that was being celebrated. And yet I get on the NFL owners for not being that worked up about assaults and things like that, but yet they're worked up about Colin Kaepernick. And so I'm going to continue to look and see, can I do better, so that, also we can do better. And those are my thoughts on Colin Kaepernick, Floyd Money Mayweather, and the NFL owners, and just some personal thoughts I was having related to this whole thing.
I'll leave you with my favorite quote.
Yep.
Underdogs, can't nobody do it like you do it. Nobody. Back next week. Appreciate you. Peace.